Another important feature of CodePeer is that it is tunable and that you can control how much of your system it will try to use during its analysis. You can control how many messages it produces on your behalf from a level of 0 where you're mainly interested in, I only want to see, let's say, the most clear problems, up to level 4 where I really want to see everything. I don't want to miss anything. I'd rather have false positives, false alarms than miss something. So level 4 is saying I want to see everything. You can also control how much time CodePeer is willing to spend on an individual subprogram. The term method here is inherited from some object-oriented programming, and we use it for this particular option, which lets you control how many seconds CodePeer will spend analyzing a single subprogram. It has some defaults for all of these different options, and the defaults allow you to use CodePeer out of the box, but then after some amount of use, you may discover that you'd like to tune some of these options, and these are some examples of options you have control over. CodePeer generates various forms of output, and it does take a certain amount of time to generate all the different outputs that it makes available. So by default, it generates an HTML output, but you can turn that off. Alternatively, if you wanted to have additional output, there are text format outputs that you can turn on, and so there is a fair amount of control over the kind of output that CodePeer generates. You can also generate common separated value output that you could use in a spreadsheet. So there are lots of options. Finally, if you want to turn off analysis on particular subprograms, perhaps because they simply take too long or they're not of interest, then there are pragmas that you can use in addition to capabilities within the Gnat project file to control exactly which files are being analyzed. Another important, relatively new capability is an ability to suppress messages to the point where you will only be seeing messages where CodePeer is most certain that this is an actual problem with your program, so that no false positives mode says that I really only want to see things that CodePeer believes are the most serious, the most likely real problems. So it suppresses outputs of messages that have been determined to be more likely to be false positives. You can always go messages max and see everything, and then the default is a kind of intermediate level where most of the messages we believe will be true problems, but on the other hand, there will be a certain number of false positives. So messages min, no false positives, allows the programmer to start and focus on, let's say, the low-hanging fruit, the most severe problems, and then over time you can work your way into worrying about the perhaps less serious problems. There are different levels which have to do largely with what proportion of the program it will analyze at one time. And messages min is the default for levels 0 and 1, which are sort of the fastest. They're doing the most local analysis. Level 4 is doing the most global analysis, and by default there you're getting messages max. It's bringing all the messages on. And that wraps up our slideshow on the advanced features of CodePeer, and we hope you'll enjoyed it, and we'll take a look at some of the other videos available. Thank you very much.